Hello, my Crystal Loves Texas family. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we got a really, really exciting show for you tonight. I want to welcome, of course, my trusty sidekick who's here every week, Miss Rebecca Williams.
Hi. Hey,
And-
Facebook family and everybody.
Yeah, not just Facebook family.
I know,
We got
everybody.
we got all of our family here tonight. But we've got a special guest on tonight, guys. And it's so special. I called her and I said, I saw what she was doing. Now this is someone, let me look at the right lens. This is someone I would truly consider a Renaissance woman because like Rebecca and I, she started out in the classroom too. Yes, but she had the little bitty ones. But she started out in the classroom too as a classroom teacher here in Houston.
I did.
Here in Houston. And she just decided that she wanted to do whatever she could to make sure that her scope was the scope of what she was doing was as far reaching as possible in the most effective and useful way. Tonight, my guest is Miss Staci Childs.
That was a nice way of putting that. Thank you.
Stacy is our District 4 State Board of Education member. Or do they call it a representative? It's member. It's
You're right.
a member.
You got it right on
It's
the
a
money.
member. But I've got to add that it is an elected position.
It is.
Yeah, so we voted Stacy in. That was 2 years ago.
Yes, May 24th of 22. So just
20
shy of 2 years ago.
Okay, almost 2 years ago. And when does the how long is that term?
So actually that term is 2 years.
Okay.
I had to put my name on the ballot in December of last year.
Yeah.
And I'm technically running right now, but I don't have an opponent. So
Okay.
I'm deemed elected.
Okay. Very good. That's
With
always
2 year
good.
term,
That's
yes.
always good. It doesn't always happen that way.
No.
But that's always good. But let me tell you this. Stacy we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that she encounters and what her day-to-day life is like being a State Board of Education member, but we're gonna peel back some layers.
Okay.
We're gonna peel back some layers and let you know about a project that Stacy has coming up. When I saw this, I was like my little meme on Facebook, you know, the one that goes it was like, wow. And that's what I mean when I say Stacy is truly a Renaissance woman. Stacy, can you tell us about your latest project?
Yes. Well,
Let's give her a drum roll. What is your latest project?
So I have put together my first documentary, which chronicles my journey of elected office.
Yes.
And just navigating being a creative, but expected to be serious and expected to be a certain way.
And you know what? I got a true confession to make.
Okay.
Can we make true confessions here, Kenji?
These
Sure.
are my confessions.
Okay, we're gonna make a true confession. When I saw Stacy, and when she had her campaign information out for the last campaign, and I saw Stacy doing that rap in front of Emancipation? You had two little girls on the side of you.
Yep.
And I said, I like her.
Yep.
I like her. I'm not sure what's coming, but I like her already. And Stacy, that wasn't your first or last foray as a rapper.
No, it wasn't.
Y'all, Stacy's a rapper.
I am.
I was watching Stacy on her video last night, and she has got a single.
I do.
Out. Tell me the name of it.
So my latest single is called Slept On.
Okay.
And I do a little rapping and singing in Slept On.
Okay.
And it's just about people trying to write me off. People thinking, oh, that's just Stacy. And it's like, okay, keep sleeping on me. You'll see what happens.
Oh, wow. Okay. And there was another one too, when you were talking about being sad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I think it's so important for people to see you in the position that you're in,
Mhm.
because not only were you a teacher in the classroom, but you are transparent.
Mhm.
And Stacy, we all know this, but a lot of times when people see certain people, they say everything must always be good
Mhm.
for that person. Everything, I bet they never have a bad day. Her makeup is always right.
Mhm.
Her hair is always right. She always looks the best. She always says the right thing at the
Mhm.
right time.
Mhm.
Is that always the case?
Of course not. Usually it's not the case.
And that's one of the things that you delve into
Mhm.
in your documentary that's coming up. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what we can expect.
Woo! You want the ugly truth or a pretty lie?
No, I want transparency, because
Okay.
what I told Stacy is that if it's not, I know it's probably already sold out, but we want to pack the house
Come on,
at that theater. And tell us, first of all, and we're going to say it 2 or 3 times
please.
during the podcast, but tell us exactly when your premiere is,
Okay.
and how people can get to see it.
Yes, it is next Thursday, 222, February 22nd, at the Deluxe Theater in Houston, Texas, at 7 p.m. You can go to all my social media pages and click the links for tickets. The regular tickets are $25. The VIP tickets are $100.
Okay.
And this is a campaign fundraiser because
Okay.
although I'm running unopposed, I still plan to do things in my district.
Outreach things.
Things
Absolutely.
that cost money. You know, I want people to come with me. I want to provide my constituents with food and drink and just really do something nice for the people in the district. So that cost.
And Stacy, let me tell you, Stacy is probably one of the only. Now I'm not gonna say one of the only, because I went on and I looked all through your social media.
Okay.
And
I might need to do another scrub.
You were lurking. You were lurking. Yeah, you were.
But you know,
You were lurking.
Let me tell you. Well, yeah, because I want to know something about the guests when they come on.
Okay.
I knew Stacy before. I knew some things about her, but I didn't know a lot. And a lot of what you do, you make sure that you get back out there into those schools.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not talking expressly at the adults. You're talking mainly to the kids. Why is that so important?
Tomorrow will make my 5th school visit this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of school visits. And it's important for the kids to know about my journey.
Yes.
They need to know that I'm just a normal person. They need to know that they can do it. They need to know that a lot of people, when they come to career days and they hear adults talk, they say, hey, I'm this fancy lawyer, or hey, I'm this teacher. Well, how did you get there?
Yeah,
what is the process? What about the heartbreak and the struggle and all the pieces that get to being a 17-year-old, maybe 12th grader to where I am now? I think we don't talk about the process a lot, and it's important for me to talk to the kids about the journey.
And the journey is not always street paved with gold.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, especially how you came to Houston? Because you're not a Houston native.
No, I'm not. I'm from Atlanta.
Somebody actually left Atlanta and came to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
You usually hear it the other way around.
Yeah. Well, the thing about me is I have a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. So at the time that I came to Houston, I was in a relationship. My friends were around. We were turning up, going out every weekend, every day, really. And I just wasn't. I was young.
Yeah.
And then with my family is great, but anytime I needed somebody to go to the store or do this or do that, I was just all over. I felt like I was all over the place. I didn't really have a lot of direction for me. So I applied.
Were you right out of college? This is
yeah. So I went to Hampton and I graduated at 21. I came back to Atlanta. I applied for some jobs. I wasn't really getting a lot of the jobs that I wanted. Yeah. That was during the recession when Bush was the president. And
what did you major in?
I was a psychology major, Spanish minor.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'll go to grad school. So I was at Georgia State. I was getting my master's degree, but I felt like I was just playing around. Okay. Even while pursuing a master's, which is great. Yes. Yeah, I just wasn't fulfilled. So after I finished that degree, I applied for Teach for America.
Okay. And
they said, hey, we like your application. We like your interview. But the only caveat is you have to come to Houston. And I'm like,
wow,
I'm not moving to Houston.
So Teach for America brought you to Houston.
Yes. I'm like, I'm not leaving my mama. No, I'm my daddy. No.
Are you an only child?
No, I have one sister that's 15 years my senior.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't really grow up together.
Yes.
So I have the only child vibes a bit.
Right.
And
I saw a picture of your mom.
mhm.
Y'all like twins.
I know, but if you say my dad, you'll say that too.
Yeah.
So.
I saw a picture of your dad
Mhm,
and
yeah.
his brother.
Yeah.
I told you,
you
That's
such
all
a
right.
worker.
That's all right.
They
That's
were.
all right.
Your mother is beautiful, and your
Thank you.
dad handsome,
Thank
brother
you.
handsome. But I did not know you had a sister because I just saw you and your mom.
Yeah, my sister, she always says she doesn't like taking pictures. I'm like, girl, if you don't get in this picture,
She's
so.
like me. I don't like to take
Yeah.
pictures.
No, at all.
So when you were in graduate school, you went ahead and finished up
Mhm.
and accepted a position with Teach for America. Now, how does that work?
Mhm.
When you get on with Teach for America, do they have certain areas that they concentrate on?
Mhm. Yeah. So when you fill out your application, they say, hey, you may have to move. Can you choose your top 5 cities that you'll be willing to relocate to?
Okay.
And Houston had to be 5th. So, of course,
Wow.
my first one was Atlanta. I think I chose DC, Charlotte, things that are kind of near Atlanta.
Right.
I may have chosen Dallas and then Houston. And
Okay.
they said Houston. I'm like, why would they give me my 5th choice? Were all the other ones booked? But remember, I had a Spanish minor.
Yes.
They needed, at the time, a lot of ESL teachers.
Absolutely.
Right. Exactly.
There were a lot of, students in Houston that just didn't have teachers. So at that time, which was 2013, it was just time for me to come, and they needed me.
So you got to Houston, and you now that program it's like an alternative certification program.
Yes, it's an alternative certification program.
Okay. And how did you end up? What elementary school?
So I did my summer training at Gallegos Elementary.
Okay.
And then I was formally placed at Emerson Elementary School, which is in Southwest Houston.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And while you were at Emerson, you actually organized a girls, what was it, like a girls mentorship program? Tell us about that.
Sure. So when I was at Emerson, I wanted to start a dance team because they didn't really have a lot of sports or a lot of extracurriculars. So I said, hey, I asked my fellow teacher Marcella to start a dance team with me. It was a co-ed dance team.
Okay.
And we started competing with other groups, and we won first place at this event. And I'm like, oh, we can really do something with this.
Good.
So that transformed into an after-school program. So it started off being co-ed. And that went well, but I just particularly saw that the girls were just different. The girls just didn't have the confidence that the guys had.
Yes.
They didn't feel like they wanted to answer questions or just thrive in the same way that I saw the boys operating.
And that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
That's not uncommon, especially when girls get to be some of the older elementary, and especially during those middle school years, where they may have formerly been really outgoing, the top of their class.
Right.
They start to kind of push back and let the guys push ahead. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't want to be controversial per se, but I feel like sometimes we're taught to be quiet. We're taught to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
We're taught that you should be pretty, and if you're too loud or if you speak up, that's not desirable.
You're aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think even if you're not explicitly taught that, maybe you'll see your mom or your aunt or someone in your family operating like that. So you mimic that.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of times, a lot of what we can experience in terms of that kind of thing can also be cultural.
Right.
It can be. And as teachers, when we see this kind of thing happen, it's our charge to kind of go in and, as best we can, arrest that to a certain degree.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I agree.
Stacy's teaching at Gallegos, is that right?
At Emerson.
Stacy's teaching. How long were you at Emerson?
I was at Emerson for 2 years.
Stacy's teaching at Emerson. Things are going great. The dance team is winning competitions. And there was something in you, a little bit unsettled, where you knew that you could do some things that were a little bit or make a little bit more of an impact. So what did you decide to do at that point?
All right. So there are some things that happened in childhood that I didn't discuss. Some good things.
Now, are these some of the things that we should wait to see in the movie?
No. I mean, we can talk about them now.
Okay, good.
So when I was in 12th grade, one of my teachers told me, hey, you have this servant leader heart. Like, I really think you should consider being a lawyer. And I'm like, ain't no way Stacy's going in the courtroom to argue with anybody.
You
I'm
never-
not
you
writing
ne-
briefs.
so
No.
you didn't want to be a lawyer.
Absolutely not. I was into music and creativity.
Yeah,
I've been into music and creativity my entire life.
Yeah.
But the law thing was different. I was in student government, and when
Yes.
he saw how I was, he was like, "You need to consider this." And I'm like,
Wow.
no way. But what he put in me, he put something in me that day, and it kind of stayed in the back of my mind. And before I came to Houston, I applied to law school. Oh, I never told this story out loud.
Oh, wow.
It's good.
It's a first. It's a first.
It's good. Yeah,
That's what
on
they
Crystal
podcast,
Loves,
yes.
Texas. So I was dating a guy at the time, and I got my acceptance letters into some law schools, and it would have required me to leave Atlanta.
Okay.
And I was like, you think we'll be able to make this work if I go? And he's like, nah. And young 23, 24-year-old Stacy is like, I need my man. I don't want us to break
that
up.
was the most important thing in the world.
So I didn't go to law school, even though I had gotten accepted.
Wow.
So after moving to Houston, the breakup was the breakup.
Right.
2 years in, I'm like, well, now you're 27.
Yeah.
While Teach for America commitment is over,
Yeah.
you can continue to teach. You're good at it, Stacy. But what about that part of you that you ignored those years ago?
Yes.
Why don't you do it now?
Right.
Something was pulling you.
Something was pulling me. And I love teaching, and I still love teaching.
Yes.
I think that's why I still do the school visits.
Yes.
But I saw students getting wronged in class and just things. I was like, that's not right.
That's right.
And I saw teachers going through things, and I'm
Yes.
like, this is not right. And I tried to organize with the fellow teachers, but sometimes you want to just get your check and go home. You don't want to ruffle any feathers because you have families to feed.
Man.
You opened up.
But I'm not saying that to disrespect them.
No,
I understand
no,
it, right?
we agree.
People have
Yeah.
different responsibilities.
I'm not protesting. I'm not doing this or that because I have kids or
That's
a family
right.
at home,
Right.
and I have to respect that.
You have
Right.
to. You have
So
to.
I said, I need to figure out a way that I can really ramp up my skills so that I can use my voice. And that's when I decided to make the transition to law at that time.
Okay, so now, Stacy, while you were in law school, could you continue teaching, or was that basically taking up most of your time?
So for anybody, no matter how old you are, if you want to go to law school, don't work. Because I was still taught while my first year. I wasn't a full-time classroom teacher, but I was an interventionist.
Got you.
And I started doing intervention at Shern Elementary, which is
Yeah.
near here, actually.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Law is a jealous lover.
Got you.
I
jealous
like how
lover.
you put
Yeah.
that.
So I did do intervention my 1L year, my first year, but after
Right.
that, I had to take a pause.
Yeah. And so we're coming up on, this should be probably around what? Maybe 2006.
Yeah, 2016.
16.
I had finished my first year law school, and I got an opportunity of a lifetime to go work for the Obama administration.
Okay.
All right.
While I was a 2L, is what they call a second year law student.
Yeah.
And that required me to take off some time from school, in a sense, to go work for his administration. So I moved to DC
Yes. And how long were you in
for about
DC?
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, June to December of 2016.
But that's like a baptism by fire. What an awesome opportunity.
it was amazing.
Good grief.
It was amazing. I loved it. I met so many people,
Yes.
like-minded people,
Yes.
right? Including President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama.
Yes.
And I was just humbled every day, meeting people across the country who cared about education, who cared about teachers, who cared about things that we
Yes.
talk about every day.
And then
It
you
was
were
fun.
in Chocolate City. Like,
Yeah.
DC is one of my all-time favorite
It's good.
cities.
It's
So
good.
just being in DC, even though the cost of living is ridiculous, but
Yeah.
It's-
No, it was fun.
yeah.
No,
but
it
you
was
know
a
what?
fun-
And the thing
it's
about it
super
is, when
fun.
you got other people, there was probably other 2Ls there,
Mhm.
and my person's right over there, Kim. But there were probably some other 2Ls there, and you all got together, and it's interesting how you when you are with like-minded people. Things may be expensive, people are having a hard time, but you get together with other
and
people,
you make it work.
You make it work.
We took
work.
turns. Yeah, we took
Yeah.
turns on who was going to buy food that
That's
day.
right.
I know some of us had housing issues. We were all, just making it work.
You do.
We were
Right.
making it. We
But
made
the
it work.
opportunity, I mean, it's the kind of opportunity, like you said, it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and you make it work.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, Stacy, you graduate from law school.
Yeah.
Okay, you still.
And where did you go to law school?
I went to Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Okay, and that is a what? I'm not trying to be brand. That's a 3-year program.
Yes, it's a 3-year
it's
full-time program.
A 3-year full-time program. Don't try to work.
Please
okay?
don't work.
Don't try to work.
Don't do it.
It's a 3-year full-time program. You graduate from law school. So at this point, are your parents saying, Stacy, you need to come back? Or
yeah, every year they still say that. Yeah, every year it's like, come back. When are you coming back to Atlanta? I'm an elected official in Texas. You still want me? Well, when you finish with that, can you come back? So that's not gonna change, and I appreciate that.
So Stacy goes to law school, and Stacy graduates, and she decides to go ahead and stay in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
When you began looking around you, and especially coming out of the classroom,
mm-hmm.
and you saw a lot of the things that were happening in Houston, in education, the direction it was going, the way that things, the challenges that it was having, Stacy looked at herself again and said, I think my impact may be able to be a little bit more far-reaching.
Yeah,
So,
there were a few steps in between that, though.
So tell us about it.
So after I graduated law school, I didn't know if I was going to pass the bar exam, right? So, I decided to go back in the classroom, even after graduating law school. So I got my JD, I studied for the bar, took the bar, and I went back and I taught 5th grade for a while. And I told my students, look, I'm trying to be an attorney. Let me tell you what law is all about. I had to take this big test. I should be getting the results mid-semester. If I pass, I may not be your teacher anymore.
They hate it when you say that.
Yeah, but I told them first day,
good.
I try to set the expectation. So when the bar results came, they were with me. I actually opened up my score in front of them. I have the video somewhere, but I couldn't leave them.
And Stacy, I love the way you document everything.
Yeah,
you document it, and those kids are right
like
there.
Like a true attorney / teacher.
Yeah.
Because you can never. I mean, you have that for posterity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can look back on that. And when you opened up those results,
they were there. They were excited for me. It was hard for me to work the rest of the day. I'm surprised they didn't let me take off the rest of the day.
No, you could have.
But they gave me something. The school gave me something, and I stayed for the rest of the year. Yeah. And even after that, I stayed for a little while. But I transitioned to law. I had some struggles because 2019 I started working and I got laid off because of COVID.
Yes,
and
that's a lot of people's story.
I just started taking cases on my own, and I realized, oh, we're messing up K through 12. This is the result of what happens when you don't get a robust foundation K through 12. You end up in this system. Yes. Not just the criminal justice system, even like in family court.
And you know what, Rebecca's done a whole lot of research on what on that classroom to prison pipeline.
School to prison pipeline.
And and the thing about it is, you don't hear about it a lot, but it is so real. Mm-hmm. It's so real. And Stacy, we were talking the other day, one of our last podcasts, about how you feel, and with you being an elementary school teacher, you understand this too. When you sit and watch the news and you see that something has happened, and even if it's subconsciously, you're praying, please don't let that be the name of one of my students I heard. Please don't let that be the name of one of my students.
Of course.
And the actuality of that is that it's such a real occurrence that, I as a teacher, I don't want to have to watch the news and that's the first thing that runs across my mind.
Of course. There was actually a school shooting at my high school today, like 2 hours ago. So that's scary.
In Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, it's scary. 4 kids were shot at my high school.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Just 2 hours ago. Yeah. So this stuff is real.
It's very, very real.
It's real.
And we didn't even hear about this kind of stuff, not to this degree.
No.
15 years ago, even 10 years ago, it was something that was
I can't know for you.
The news, hang on on the news, just where they stopped the news all across the nation. Now it's such. I didn't know there was one in Atlanta, but I heard that it was something that happened in Kansas City. But we're so deafened to it now because it's such a reality. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember the first school shooting. I was in the 9th grade. That was Columbine.
Yeah,
and it was like we were in school Columbine that day, and we were like, "What? Who shoots up a school?" Yeah. Like that was like because it was unheard of. Little did I know that was going to be reality.
Mhm.
Yes.
And a constant fixture of reality.
Almost once a month you hear about a mass shooting.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, there are ways to attack those kinds of problems, but that's another subject for another show.
Yeah,
right.
No, but I honestly, which I kind of talk about in my documentary. I think when I was elected, I think I told you at the beginning of the show, I was elected May 24th, 2022. That was the exact day that the Uvalde shooting happened.
Yes.
So I remember being at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. I was campaigning. I was passing out my flyers. It was the runoff. People were going in to vote.
Right.
And I remember one of my staffers came up and said, "Look, did you see what happened in Uvalde?" And I'm like, "Wait, what? No, of course I didn't see anything. I'm campaigning."
Right.
So to hear that 21 people were killed a few hours away from where you live.
That's the age of the kids, your kids that you would teach.
Yeah. You're trying to run for an education seat.
Yeah.
You don't even know if you're going to win or lose. It was just so much going on. I think school shootings is kind of like the undertone of like my time being in elected office.
That's true.
It's a big thing. And it kind of, that stuff makes me depressed. It really does.
It does. It does.
So,
and Stacy, since you have sat in this position with the there are 11 of you throughout the
15.
State. There are 15 of you, and tell us about the different regions.
Sure.
Are the regions represented mostly by large cities or counties? How are they represented?
All right, so we each have between, I guess, 500,000 to 2 million students in our district.
Okay.
And they're broken up by area and by people. Okay. So for me, I have the smallest district in terms of size or geographic area,
right?
But I have a lot of people because Houston is dense.
That's right. So,
but then there are places like District 6, where, like in Lufkin, Texas, where it's a larger geographic area, but it covers a smaller amount of students.
Right.
So they try to factor geographical area with the amount of students to make it even across the 15 people.
And even though that's not a partisan, it's not a partisan seat, but I was looking.
Well, it is a partisan seat.
Well, not on paper.
No.
Okay. It's not a partisan seat on paper, but I was looking at and I wish that I had brought this because I actually saved it so that I could give it to KG so that we could put it up. You had what was on, I'm going to call it a docket. I don't know anything more to call it, but what you all were going to be discussing in that meeting that day. And you said, one of your comments was, I'm looking at this. I can't believe this is what it's going to be discussed. And there were some things that had to do with drag queens not being allowed to, what was it?
Yeah, I think there was somebody was going to be offering some type of continuing education credit, and one of the options was drag queen stories. Yeah.
Okay. And I think something else, but there were some things on there. There must have been about 15 topics listed on there. There were some things on there that were very viable and that they should have been on there. But you raised an eyebrow at some things that were on there that, my goodness, we wouldn't have seen on there 5 years ago. And like, do we really need to be putting our time where we are going to be talking about very important things that have to do with how schools are going to go forward? Should we be putting our good time on this?
Well, here's the thing. People, and I'm going to include myself in this. People like their moment. And if you were backed by a certain group,
right,
or someone's funding your campaign, or if you just have certain ideals, if you can see any opportunity as a moment to just have your shine, and sometimes that takes away from the work that we need to do for kids.
And Stacy, the thing about it is, when you all are in there and you meet the state board of education meets how often?
We meet every 2 months or so.
Every 2 months. So that means when you all get in there, your time is valuable.
For sure.
You guys have got some really important things to talk about. You've got some really important decisions to make.
How long do your meetings normally last?
A week.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just finished session on February 2nd, and our longest meeting lasted till about midnight. I mean, that's not commonplace, but we can go all day or they can be short, but we're in Austin for a week at a time.
Yeah, because it was one video that came across the Facebook feed of you having a very interesting conversation with the educational commissioner. And I found it very, very interesting. And I think you know what video I'm talking about.
Well, you gotta tell us what you're talking about.
Okay, so Stacy is in session, I guess.
Yeah,
I can say she's in session and she's having a conversation with the educational commissioner, who, for those of you that don't know what the educational commissioner is, he's pretty much over K through 12 education in the state of Texas. I don't think colleges and universities, right? Okay, but just K through 12. I thought so. And the exchange that Stacy, one thing I will say about this lady right here, she does hold her own, guys. She doesn't let anybody intimidate her. Right. And I love that.
Okay. I'll allow it.
But she was having a very interesting conversation with this, with the educational commissioner, and brought some things to his attention, whether he wanted to acknowledge or seem to have no knowledge of.
Okay.
So real quick, I just want to hit on that. So one of the conversation that she brought up was the teacher shortage that was going on in a particular district.
Right.
And she was very concerned that it was 600 plus, even though the numbers have significantly gone up since then. Right. But she was concerned about the 600 plus teachers that were quitting this particular district in the Houston area. And of course, he answered, well, I've sat on a school board in another city for all of these years. 600, that's nothing. And then she was like, but in January? But in January. And then he goes on to say that he doesn't have the data in front of him and I looked at it as an observer as being dismissive instead of him just addressing what it is. It was like, it happens. La 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 la.
Well, let me say this. As any school system in this day and time, any school system needs to be very, very curious about large numbers of teachers leaving, simply because we don't necessarily have the numbers to replace them on hand. And when you have a teacher shortage, now teachers leave for reasons. All these people aren't retiring. Teachers leave for reasons. And when teachers leave and there aren't people in line to replace them, then that has got a very significant and surmountable trickle-down effect that is directly related to your child's education. And let me say this: 90.3, I believe 90.3 is the number. 90.3 of people in America, as of the last election cycle, had been educated by a public school system. That is going to be the lowest that it's ever been. And let me tell you why that's the lowest that it's ever been. Because right now we have more private schools and other types of alternative education situations. So prior to that, it was even more, looking closer to 98% or 97%. So most of the people who are making these decisions, who are dismissing teacher shortages, who are saying that teachers don't need to be certified or they don't need the education that teachers need to have in order to be successful in that classroom in the long term, that's a dangerous button to push. Because public education, since Horace Mann, public education has been here and it needs to continue to be here, because that is going to be the only education that some people are afforded.
And one of my questions to you was, what was, if you can recall, because I know that was some weeks back, but if you can recall, what was going through your mind as you was having this conversation?
Good question. So, this is a good question. It is, and I don't want to sound cheesy, but it is my desire to be a good statesman. It is not my desire to just get cool points on Instagram.
That's right.
By being a good statesman, that means I have to work with Republicans, Democrats, white people, black people, gay, straight, blah, 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 blah.
That's right.
And you got to concede sometimes.
That's
you
right.
have to step up sometimes. It's that political dance that I'm learning how to do.
Right.
Part of that is I don't want to piss the Commissioner of Education off.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss him off. I'm not going to kiss his butt either, right? So I have to be stern and speak on behalf of my constituents, but at the same time have enough respect and grace and kindness so that he won't write me off.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking all of that in my head while I'm asking him a straightforward question and I was being gaslit.
Right.
I have a lot of respect for Mike Morath. I do not envy him. I do not want to be the Commissioner of Education because I know it's hard. However, don't gaslight me.
Right.
21,000 people voted for me to ask you these questions and I expect answers and I don't expect to be gaslit. And that's what happened. At the same time, I want to have this level of respect for him and kindness so that when it's my turn to ask questions, the people in Houston don't get answers because he's written me off personally. And that's what's going through my head.
And here's the thing, and I want people to know this too. And Rebecca, we spoke about this last week because I'm one of the teachers who's no longer with the district. My reasoning was something personal, but it doesn't matter. I'm no longer with the district at this time. But I can say this: there have been what we as, and I'm speaking especially to the teachers now, what we as and to the regular citizens in communities who have children who will and have attended public schools. We have had good stewardship in the form of governors and leadership across in Texas history that stood for public education on both sides of the aisle.
Right.
We have.
I agree.
And that's the kind of thing that we need to look at. We need to look at people's records and if they are standing to make public education strong, or like Rebecca says, if they are doing everything at every turn to take out a hatchet and chop up, public education. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to ask Stacy some more about her movie coming up. But I'm going to say this again. If you can understand what we're saying, if you can understand the language, if you can read it, if you can read those comments, somewhere along the line, 90+% of you have got a public school teacher to thank.
Sure.
Okay. So keep that in mind. Look at how people are funding public education. And that is because, like you said last week, Rebecca, where your money is where your heart is.
Right.
And if you're continually pulling money away from public school education, what that is doing is creating a deeper divide between people in the state.
Right.
It is.
Right.
It is what it is. Okay. Now, Stacy got her law degree.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy is now laid off. You decided to take some cases on your own.
Sure.
And you at that point said, I know my impact can be greater. And something was still pulling at you from the inside.
That's right.
So when did you decide, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot.
Whew. So I say October of 2021, I started thinking about it. I was like, I see other people do it. I've worked on political campaigns. I worked for the Obama administration. But when you want to put yourself in the forefront, it's completely different from any other volunteer opportunity that I've ever done anyway. And I said, okay, how is this going to impact my mama? How is this going to impact my family?
Your family,
I was dating at the time. How is this going to impact him? How is it going to impact me financially and personally? And am I going to be able to get sleep?
Right.
I started asking myself those questions.
Working during this time.
Entire time. My own practice too.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. I was still building my law practice. While doing
that's
this.
Right. You're out there getting it yourself.
I look back at how did I do that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, just like I thought about going to law school, the time is now.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Just try.
Yeah.
I kind of went at it as a just try. But my version of just try might be different from everybody else, because when I just try something, I try to go hard.
That's right.
I try to put my best foot forward.
That's right.
And then when March came around, there were 5 of us. And when I made the runoff, I actually thought I might have a real shot at this.
Yes.
So, and I think other people saw that in me too. So I started getting more donations, more help, more people block walking and making phone calls for me.
Yes.
And it was divine almost.
Okay. And Stacy, let me say this. And Stacy, now because of all that, Stacy, your first course of action was just to step out there on faith.
That's it.
You didn't have a parent.
I didn't have money. I didn't come from this. Nothing.
Yeah. Who was with the Board of Education and you hadn't even come up within the Houston school system.
No.
But you stepped out on faith and it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
And thank goodness, because to see you being, and I'm gonna call it like it is, as unconventional as you are, you remind me so much of a lot of the students that sit in my middle school class.
Right.
I want these girls to see you and say, wait a minute, she looks like me. That means I could do that. I wanted to rap. I know how to rap.
Yeah.
I know how to I want to cheer. I want to be part of the dance team. She's just like the girls that we
And it was so crazy because one of my girls today just asked me, she said, is it possible for me to be a doctor and do hair? I was like, do you know how many clients you would have as a doctor?
I mean, that's actually like perfect. Like you can like help me. Look at the dermatologist. You can help me from the inside out.
Yeah. Right.
After you give me my medicine, you just do my hair.
Right.
And guys,
she asked me that today.
Our time is kind of limited, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna circle back around to this. I looked at Stacy's Facebook page.
She lurked.
And no, I looked at Stacy, but I've known Stacy for the last couple of years. And I looked at, and sometimes her, so she comes up in my feed. And I was looking at her Facebook page and I was so proud when I saw this. Stacy, you tell us a little bit about this, because this is the way that you put yourself out there sometimes. Sure. There was a competition that you had to write an essay and ask for, this was a national competition, and ask for funding for projects that, let me, correct me if I get this wrong, for projects that you were doing in the community by way of your law firm and helping people who were underserved. Yep. And they called you up to give you the status of it, but it was really a trick call. They were calling you up to tell you what?
That I had won the grant. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So tell us about
Amos. That. Okay. So Famous Amos, as you all know, he has the cookies,
company. Yes.
The recipe. Well, Famous Amos, Willie Amos is his name. He went through challenges himself as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So once he got back on his feet, he said, I'll always dedicate a little of my money to other entrepreneurs that need help as well. Yes. So they've created this competition to help Black entrepreneurs kind of start their businesses.
Okay.
So I sent in this video, which was a pretty good video.
Yeah.
And from there, I made the finals, and they said, hey, what will you do with this money if we give it to you? And I was frantic. I got some people to help me write the essay. We had to submit it. And they contacted me, and they told me that this was the second round interview.
Yes.
So I'm nervous. I put on my best yellow dress because I represent Sunnyside Legal. So I had to look sunny, have my hair looking nice and all that. And what gave it away, because I'm into like spirituality and God and the woo-woo. What gave it away is the man that led the call's name was Bernardo. And my late father's name is Bernardo.
Wow.
And like, I don't really meet a lot of Black men named Bernardo.
No.
So when I saw that the guy that was leading the call had my dad's name, I'm like, okay, wow, something's about to happen. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just so happy that you have my dad's name. And he was like, oh, maybe it might mean something. So yeah, I was able to win a lot of money at that time to help keep my business afloat. Yes. Because you have to remember, August of 22, I was fresh off that election. I was like flat broke. And I'm going to be very candid because I love these people. There were 2 people on my staff. Yes. And around the time of my election, I didn't have that much money to pay them as much as I was paying them every week. Right. And they were still working. They said, look, can you give us around the time that we're going to get paid? Like, can you give us a certain day? And I said, maybe on this day, but I don't expect you guys to work for free. That's right. I'll just have to do it myself. And they're like, no, we believe in you. Yeah. And they kept working. Yeah. Wow. So that's why I was so emotional on that call, because law is okay. But what I love more than being an attorney is the opportunity to bless women and men with like opportunities to work, opportunities to be attorneys, or maybe like get their feet wet in it. I really take that to heart. I really like employing people. That's the best part of like my job, giving people opportunities. So when they said we'll work for free, that meant a lot to me. And you better believe when I got that money,
I know that's real because
I gave them like
you would have had them employees that
no,
day,
I know, but I gave them lump sums,
Yes.
and like one of them
awesome.
is actually an attorney now.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a paralegal at the time. She was studying for the bar, so she's working now as a lawyer.
Yes.
And then the other one actually still works with me.
Is that the one that you went down to see her, get her in in Austin?
No, this I did post her though when she got her bar results.
Okay, because
Yeah.
this is one. She was kind of a slender young lady with glasses, and you said that she was a mom. And
Yeah,
she
that's
was,
her. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, that's her.
yes.
Yeah,
And you
that's
said
her.
this is one of the first people I hired.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yep.
and she kind of followed in your footsteps.
Mhm. And now she's an attorney. She's
that
doing
is
her
awesome.
thing.
That's awesome. Stacy, before we go, we got about 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you repeat in just a second the information for the premiere.
Mhm.
But you say that one thing that is going to be shown in the documentary is that on a couple of times you have struggled with some degrees of depression.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that, because in our community, sometimes people don't want to talk about it, and that's as real, especially in this day and time with the things that we are facing. That's as real as it gets.
Oh yeah. So my therapist says it's like situational depression. Like I guess if like a money or a relationship or some type of hard situation comes, it kind of sets me down the path.
Right.
But after that election, I felt what I now know may be depression, because when you run for political office, if you have opponents, sometimes it can be pleasant the whole way through. But a lot of times people will put out negative ads and do negative things just to get points on their end. And now I'm 2 years removed from that. I understand it wasn't personal. They didn't even know me. It wasn't personal.
That's right.
But for Black people to do that to me, I don't know. It is something to me. And once I got in the seat, I started speaking out about certain things. And again, another organization with a lot bigger following and a lot more money did the same thing. They started attacking me. And I'm like,
why? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still learning how to navigate that.
Yeah.
Being in political office, realizing that this might happen, but when it happens, what do you do?
Right.
Do you go to therapy? Do you go shop? Do you go party? Do
Yeah.
you just sit in the sadness? What do you do when people are like attacking you and that's just like part of your job?
Yeah.
So I talk about that in the documentary.
And Stacy, one more time, Rebecca, let's give her one more drum roll.
Next Thursday.
Yes. Go for it.
Next Thursday, 2/22, February 22nd, I am premiering my first documentary, I Don't Even Know Me Yet, at the Deluxe Theater, 3303 Lyons Avenue. You can get your tickets on my page, or you could just show up and we'll make sure we take your money there. Next Thursday, 2/22, 7 o'clock.
And it's a fundraiser.
Yes,
for your
it's
re-election
a fundraiser
campaign.
for my re-election campaign.
And if people, if schools are watching and they would like to get their State Board of Education member to come out and maybe so that their students can see her and see that what you are doing can be a reality for them too.
Absolutely.
How would they do that?
So you can, I have gone to school visits from DM requests. You can go to the Texas Education Agency website and go to my email. You can hit me up on Crystal Loves Texas. You can go to Crystal Loves Texas and get information.
Yes.
I'm not really picky about how you contact me. I like being contacted about school visits because I like to speak with kids. So.
Awesome. She is a teacher at heart. And with one last question I have to ask you. If people would like to, Stacy is the type of role model that when girls see her, they see themselves.
Thank you.
If they would like to come out and bring their daughters, is there an age restriction?
No, you can come out. No, there may be some topics that are PG-13.
Okay,
but
so if a parent is there accompanying the student,
no
that would
problem.
Be fine.
Yeah, it's
okay.
fine.
So bring your daughters out.
Yeah, you can
bring
come.
your sons out.
Yeah,
okay.
Please.
Even if it's not a girl, she may look like his sister, his aunt, his mom, his cousin. Okay, but we want people in the community to know and see that the people that are representing them, the people that we've entrusted our life into, our education into, they're just like the people that we know. So this is not something strange or far removed from what your own daughter might become. Staci Childs, State Board of
Crystal.
Education, District 4,
Yes.
Houston, Texas.
Amen.
We want to thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming out. And I had to get Stacy on here.
Thank
I
you.
had to get her on
It's
here.
been a pleasure.
Yes.
You know I love coming to talk to you.
Yes,
Crystal.
yes. And Stacy is good people, and she surrounds herself with good people. But if you want to make sure that you see history in the making, your daughter, if she's sitting in the kitchen right now telling you, I want to be a hairdresser, and I want to be a professional cheerleader, and I want to be a lawyer, and I want to be a doctor, and I want to be on a state board of education.
Do it
She can
all,
do
chick.
She can do it. She can do it, and she can do it well. But we want to thank you so much for
Okay,
being
just
here.
real quick before we get off, what is the attire for the movie premiere?
You can wear whatever you want. Come as you are.
No,
Okay.
say it like you said it on the invitation.
Come as you are, but if you want to stunt, please do.
There we go. Staci Childs, we want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here, and we will be there.
We will.
And Rebecca, as we say every week,
we can do it.
Thanks so
Bye,
much.
guys.
Thanks so much, Miss Stacy, for
Thank
being
you.
here. And we are out. We are out. Guys, comment. Make sure you give us those comments, and we'll see you next week.